one of my craziest performances ever. I went live for like 6 hours and did like $18,000 in comic books because we were at a convention. We were like, all right, let's go. Welcome
to the Beverage podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Hayes, and today we've got a guest who's making waves in the world of live stream auctions, buying, selling, and flipping everything from rare collectibles to hidden gems. Here we have the man behind the gavel, the auctioneer of the digital age. Please welcome Genghis Shawn.
Killer intro. Let's go. I love that. I might have to clip that and put it at my own stream.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah. Appreciate that. Well,
yeah,
welcome.
Man. Yeah, no, thank you. This has been an honor to be here. And this is your live streaming domain.
Yes, we call this Castle Genghis in my streams. So I primarily stream on eBay Live right now, Whatnot, and Twitch. So over in the corner of my room that you guys can't see, we have a big old gaming PC I just recently splurged out on for 2025, and we've been streaming video games whenever I'm not doing collectibles. So yeah, I've been on the eBay Live platform for about, I want to say 6 months or so. Okay. And I was on Whatnot there for a good 4 years, just grinding, pushing every day, attending every single convention I could, trying to get my name out there. And then later down the road, eBay Live opened up, and then I had a friend in the industry. He's like, "Yo, Genghis, do you want me to get you on? I got a hookup. I know some people." I was like, "Of course, yeah," because I for a while I didn't want to because I felt like I owed a little bit of loyalty to Whatnot, and then I had to look at my financial statements, and I'm like, listen, for myself in the future, let's try this out. They're not really sponsoring me in any way, so let's just try it out. And then I haven't looked back. That's been the best business venture yet because eBay has been crushing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's legit, dude. Yeah, I remember when I messaged you about Whatnot, right? So I was in Sacramento. My wife's friend's husband, which is AKA, they're all my friends. He was we just randomly started talking about selling stuff online, and he's like, "Dude, you ever been on Whatnot?" I'm like, "No, but I have a friend that's on it." And then I was like, "But I've never seen the app or anything." He's like, "Dude, they sell anything and everything." And I'm like, "Bet." All right, so we're going flipping through how people do.
And was he into Pokemon? How did the conversation start? Were you talking about vintage clothes? Because it's pretty. I would say it's pretty revolutionary because people can hop on and they can go to estate sales, they can go to garage sales, they can go to conventions, your room, anywhere really you could pop up. And if you have something to sell, on any of those platforms, you can rock and roll. That's just the move these days. Yeah. You're entrepreneurs will look at one time I literally opened my trunk to my car and I literally had comic books and people would come up to the trunk of my car and buy comic books, but I was live on stream too, so everything was filmed. It was craziness, but yeah, you could anywhere.
Yeah,
it's wild.
So he's big into sports.
Right.
And I said
the craziest collectibles category.
Is it
one of the most expensive, probably the leading in terms of interest, and just it's the only collectible that I'd say at a one of one. So a signatured one of one autograph rookie card of your favorite Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. Those are, I don't think a comic book can. I mean, there are some grails for comic books, but in terms of people want to buy it, it's like adult Pokemon in a way. But yeah, to open up a specific sports box, sometimes it costs you $30,000, $18,000 just to open up a box, and you're not even guaranteed to get that money back. So they're big investments. But when you hit, it's okay, we hit the one of one refractor or something like that. This is $300,000. I'm gonna go grade it. It's a one of one. You determine the price. Mm-hmm. Those guys are crushing.
Yeah. He was literally telling me that he'd watch those videos. He'll just randomly find people that are selling random stuff. But I was asking him, I was like, "Hey, bro, do you know how to sell baseball cards, or do you know who to go to sell baseball cards?" And he's like, "Dude, you ever heard of Whatnot?" And that's how that happened.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I have a whole bunch of baseball cards, baseball, basketball, football from my dad, back in the 90s. So it's they're all 30 years old already, and I'm like, "Bro, I got some rare gems, bro."
Right. That's where I'm confused with sports. It's I feel like the sports works in modern time. Mm-hmm. So Pokemon is like wine. Pokemon, the longer you have a Pokemon card, the longer you keep it pristine, the longer you temperature control it, the longer you take care of it, that Charizard, that Mewtwo, that whatever Pokemon card, give it 15 years, that Pokemon card is worth 10,000% of what it was worth when the day it came out. Sports cards, I feel like, in my personal opinion, because I know nothing about sports,
Right.
the cards that go the craziest are the ones that are the player is popping off.
Is new.
The Shohei
Yeah.
Ohtani, your Luka Doncic on the Lakers.
Yes.
Those are the cards that go crazy, but they are like present.
Right.
The ones that are the mega grails, the Jordan rookie that you can never afford in a PSA 9 that's $70,000. That's like, in my mind, everybody knows your Michael Jordan rookie card, but that pristine current player,
Yeah.
that's where the real money is at.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, Luka's been crazy. Talk about waves. Yeah, I'm all on the Luka wave right now.
Oh yeah, I heard that Shohei Ohtani was also like booming too.
That was crazy. Yeah, we had, so even in comics and collectibles, we were creating homages, which is basically a play on. So if there's like a really cool movie, like for example, like a movie poster or some sort of piece of art, we homage it to give kind of respect to it, but in a way, it's a new thing. So they were making covers with like baseball players, like Shohei Ohtani's 50-50-50. We did it's called a Do You Pooh variant, but we had, long story short, there was a comic book that had Winnie the Pooh dressed as Shohei Ohtani with the home run, and that comic book was going crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like, someone's like, I'm going to get this signed by Shohei one day. I was like, you do that, and then you have a one-of-one piece of art. But anyways, yeah.
That's super
Tangents.
dope. Yeah, no, 100%. How did you get into the whatnot world?
That's a good question. So we were talking about Pokemon earlier. I've always been obsessed with video games and collectibles. Pokemon specifically. Comic books came way later. I would say I'm a late bloomer when it comes to comic books, because Whatnot and my streaming campaign, my whole startup started with comic books. So I would say rewind back to, I want to say 2020 San Diego Comic-Con. I had I want to say a friend or some sort of, he had a comic book store in Escondido, which is not too far away. And he's like, hey, I got tickets to Comic-Con. We just have to volunteer and help out my buddy, and we could, after we're done helping, we could just go around and do whatever we want. I was like, sure, I'm down. How much time he's like 2 to 3 hours a day. I'm down. So I go down there, help him out. And as soon as I'm done helping him, I have the whole day to myself. So I'm exploring, I'm checking out the Whatnot stuff. I was currently just buying on there and like kind of really small selling on the platform, because back in the day, you'll find this later, but we call this the golden age of Whatnot. It was the very beginning stage back in 2020 when there was not that many people. Now anybody can sell on the platform, which is a little bit, it's a give and take, because
It's like saturated.
yes. And then back in the day, it's almost, you felt like there's the premier sellers that's just like, oh my gosh, they're bringing crazy stuff to the convention, and then stuff that you really, really want. But now it's like, it feels flooded. So there's too much options. But anyways, so back in the day, I was able to, so my thing was, I'm a very social butterfly. So I had made a lot of friends in the community. So when I told them I was going to San Diego Comic-Con, they're like, I'm going too. Come say hi, come hang out. So I made a bunch of friends from Florida, from New York, from Texas, all around the country, and they were coming to San Diego that year, and they knew I was the local. So when they came out to San Diego, they were like, what do we do? Where do we hang out when we're not at this con working? So I was like, hey, hit me up when you're free. So this was back in 2020. This was before the boom of everything. This was like very like post-COVID almost, like everyone's still super news. Everyone's super like getting back into social outings and stuff like that. So to reconnect with people was super crazy, because at the time, Collectibles was at an all-time high. So post-COVID, like everyone had went through their garages and found their old Pokemon cards, went through comic books and found vintage things that they didn't know the worth of. And back to San Diego Comic-Con, Whatnot had a main stage outing. So everyone was really like new, and everyone's like, whoa, what's this cool thing? Everything is new. And basically I got invited to, they called it the Hero House, which was basically a party for all the biggest names at the time. And coincidentally, a bunch of my buddies were invited to that party, and they were on that guest list, and they were associated to that. So like, just come with us. And it was a happenstance, but I got my name out there. I met a bunch of people, spoke to a lot of people in the industry. And the greatest contact of all time was I made friends with someone who actually lives in Oceanside, and he ran his own company, and he was doing all these things. And he was just like, hey, he knew where I was working at the time, which I was a bar back and server at a place called Campfire, which is a nice fancy restaurant in our town here. And at the time there, he was just like, hey, if you ever, have some free time, come stream for me. And so post following San Diego Comic-Con, I followed that trail, worked for him in Oceanside. I didn't know anything about comic books. And I went from knowing nothing to like, he's like, all right, this is everything. These are the artists' names. If you have questions, just ask me. But I'm going to be pretty busy a lot, so just kind of learn as you go. And I was like, okay. And I just took the ground running. At the time, when I didn't have to work my bartending shifts, it started at like 3 p.m., I had nothing to do in the mornings. Mm-hmm. So I would go over there, I would stream. I would try and wake up by like 8, 9 in the morning, stream comic books from 9 a.m. to about 2, basically until I went to work. Mm-hmm. And I was just on a grind. So that was my 2020 to like 2022. I was just every day I would go and stream for him. Mm-hmm. I would be on Whatnot. And to my credit, back in the day, the way Whatnot worked was based on your popularity, your name was at the top. So his company, his channel name was always at the top because we were on all the time. He was one of the well-known names. But I knew that, so I would always put live with Genghis Shawn from that Spider-Man booth here on Whatnot, and I would do that every day for like 2 years. So everyone became associated with this show that I was on every day, mm-hmm. Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday, every day I could, because he's Filipino, so we both kind of had these Asian kind of upbringings. So I was never late. I always showed up. I never missed a day. If I was sick, I would still show up, but he would tell me to go home. I wouldn't take the day off. He'd be like, get out of here before you get everybody else sick. And that was always the way. So I always showed up. I showed up and I left. I went to work and I did that. And then fast forward to that, it paid off because once I started doing that, I in tandem, whenever I could on the weekends, I would stream on my own channel. So that's where I made the Genghis Shawn. That's shouts out to an old friend of ours named Connor, 18 Cents, our old past buddy. He gave me that name as a kid back when we were back in high school. And then I used that as a video game screen name and my screen name for selling collectibles. And it's kind of catchy. So so people came to know that name. People were like, you're Genghis Shawn? I listen to your voice when I'm like at work. I'm like, oh, dude, what? And I would go to conventions and I would talk to my friends and people were like, are you Genghis? And like, oh, I just recognized your voice. So I just wanted to say hi. And then people also came associated with these glasses that I wear because at any convention or any outing, I would always wear these because they're prescription and I like them. And I swear I'm owed a sponsorship from this brand because I have shouted them out so many times at conventions every time I'm out because I always get complimented on them. And I'm always like, they're useful. They're prescription. And when I don't want to talk to people or it's sunny out, I just put them down. And then I kind of have like a don't talk to me look because they're kind of like intimidating when they're down. But yeah, it's super friendly when they're up. They're like, hey, that's cool. So yeah, multiple stories. And then that was fast forward till eBay last year. They reached out to me and I haven't. eBay Live's another beast because everyone's more associated with eBay. eBay is like a household name. Yeah. And they are still in like a beta phase with this live streaming app.
Oh, it's still beta.
Yeah.
I remember you told me that it was beta when you like, I'm not working Whatnot no more.
So basically, yeah, there's probably, I wouldn't say, if I'm exaggerating, maybe like 20,000 comic book sellers on Whatnot. There is 27 comic book sellers on eBay Live. Wow. So in terms of competition, there is none because we're all cordial. We all know each other, and we've been in this industry long enough that, and with the way that we see eBay, there's enough to go around. So we have no reason to bite at each other's necks. The way on Whatnot is, it's very cutthroat. It's very competitive because everyone can be on there. Oh, okay. So that, in a nutshell, that's the streamer wars civil war, is that some people have an ego or some people believe they're like, don't stream over me. Like, what are you trying to do? You trying to poach me? What are you trying to do? This is my slot. And I'm like, hey man, this just worked out for me. Like, hey, if anybody wants to buy my comic books, they're more than welcome. I didn't mean anything by it. I didn't even think about so that's that can be sometimes a internal struggle with people.
So you have to select slots of when you're going to live stream?
Yeah, basically on these platforms, basically it works out. You're like, okay, I want to schedule a show. I'm going to pop up in the next 10 minutes, or I'm going to pop up at 9 p.m. tonight, or I'm going to be at Comic Con next week at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you either, if you choose to or not, you can promote it, whether you're on Instagram, your Facebook, however you reach your fans, your customers, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to get the word out. And then when that day comes, just like we're doing right now, you press the green light, you turn on the red button, and then things go live. I put it in front of the camera. Here we go. We have this. It's worth about $350. It's signed by Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn. I just got this at San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to start this for $1 because I can, because I like you guys. And then when we start it, and if it goes for $180, that's cool. If it goes for $600, that's cool. If it goes for $3,000, which it can, that's cool.
Has it?
On eBay, yeah.
Really?
So with Whatnot, it's a beast because it's a rising thing. It's new, but eBay is like this sleeping dragon that everyone knows not to poke the dragon, because if you wake it up, there's no stopping the dragon. It's like Smaug.
Like who?
Smaug from The Hobbit.
Okay.
You know, he literally is resting in the treasures of the dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what eBay feels like. eBay is Smaug. You respect Smaug. He is your beautiful dragon that you just let him sleep all day because you don't want to wake up the dragon. Because when that dragon wakes up and eBay wakes up, man, we went to New York Comic Con, and I've done some damage. I think one of my craziest performances ever. I went live for 6 hours and did $18,000 in comic books because we were at a convention. We were like, all right, let's go. Wow, and it's a crazy experience. But yeah, it's hard to describe because everything is when you're selling on. I would say it's not so much a risk as it is a gamble, because when you're doing it on the bigger scale, you have to go to places. You can't just buy things from your local comic book store and expect for someone to shill out their entire savings or their entire paycheck on something. You have to obtain products that people need. People didn't know that they needed. And to get those crazy numbers and to get those crazy experiences, you have to go to places that people can't go or can't afford to go. Like your New York Comic Con, your San Diego Comic Con, your Dallas Fan Expo. You need to be places that people couldn't go because they have to work, they have a family to feed, but they enjoy those places and they live vicariously through you. Mm-hmm. So the way you connect them to those places is to essentially bring the convention to them. And in my way was special comic books. I would get them signed. We get them graded. I have examples over here I could show you of super special graded comic books from artists that live in Japan or live in all around the world that come to a convention once a year. The last time they came to the convention was 10 years ago. We got that signed. It graded the highest on the census. There are no other comic books that are graded higher. Somebody wants that in the world. And if you have the thing that somebody wants and there is no other piece, you kind of dictate the price. So that's the name of the game when it comes to collectibles. When you reach that pinnacle of this is okay. So the best example of collectibles is when the flip switched on for me, the light, the matrix the option was given to me. Morpheus was sitting in this chair just as I am, and the pill was given to me, the red or the blue pill. The blue pill was, okay, you can work your bartending job and work 60 hours a week, super fulfilling. You're in the best shape of your life because you're busting your ass and you're running around the restaurant and you're making yourself proud. Everyone respects you because you're busting your ass. That's the blue pill. That's the work for the man pill. You have job security, you have health insurance, you have all these things taken care of for you. You have a 1099. You just put that in the TurboTax. TurboTax takes it out of you have nothing to do. The red pill is you take the entrepreneurship role. You take everything as a liability, everything as a risk, nothing is guaranteed. However, if it hits and you hit the green on roulette and you call just the craziest bets ever and you don't fold, sometimes you get the comic book, you have 50 copies of the comic book, you bought them each for $30 each. They sell for $300 each because you're at the convention where they just were produced. You get them each signed for free. Now they're $600 each. Then you grade them all. Now they're $1,000 each, and your cost is $50 each. So now you turned $50 into $1,000 50 times. And that's just one thing you did at a convention. So let's say that's just one comic book that you hit on.
Yeah.
So the way that we strategize is there's specific things that we think are going to do really well. For example, there's an anime called Akira from the 90s, well, I would say late 80s. And it's very well loved. And what they did in New York last year is they made a cover. I have it over there. And they made Batman approaching the Batmobile as Akira. So people went crazy because they're all like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And they only made 500 of them. And if that sounds like a lot, but there's 500 copies for the entire world. Mm-hmm. So what we did was, I was there and I was in front of those guys, and then every day I got as many copies as I could. I asked my friends to get copies if they didn't want one. So by the end of the convention, I had, 50 copies because I had done my homework. I had done my research, and everyone would be like, oh, Genghis, you're the reason why the industry is bad. It's like, no, I did it the right way. I didn't backdoor any deals. I didn't. So that's like the hot take. It's like when people backdoor deals like that, it's like, oh, there's 500 of them, but 250 of them went to this person.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that's kind of dastardly. But anyways, long story short, it's those kind of small plays that you do that really make this worth it for you in a term of financial reasons, because there's real people in this industry that actually produce comic books and write and do art and stuff like that. I'm associated to not so much, yes, the flipping part, but it's the part that I know. So I know the artists. I know the stories to what pertains to me. I'm not the guy that can like recite an encyclopedia and be like, what's the first appearance of Spider-Man AF-15? What's the first Captain America issue number? What's Batman's first appearance? What's Black Widow's? What's Polaris's? What's Blade's? And those are the more niche people because they understand like vintage comics. I'm more of like the modern comics guy. So when people tell you like, oh, are you into modern comic books, Silver Age, Golden Age? I'd be the guy that tells you I'm into modern stuff. So Scotty Young, for example, J. Scott Campbell, Peach Momoko. These are names of current artists. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, you would appreciate your Jack Kirby, your Todd McFarlane, your Stan Lees, your older names. But they are now there are times where they're getting to an older age where they can't attend conventions, like your Frank Miller, who's definitely in his older ages, but he's still hanging out at conventions. But they're old cats. They're legends in the industry. But yeah, they're getting old.
Yeah. Damn, dude. You just been dropping knowledge bombs after knowledge bombs.
Yeah,
bro.
sorry. When I go on tangents, it's like a stream all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, let's just talk about stuff. Because that's always been my thing.
Yeah.
If you let me talk, I will talk. But I'm like, when I hang out with my friends, I always let them talk because I'm truly interested in what they want to say. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just absorb. I'm like a SpongeBob, like a modern day SpongeBob. I just absorb information and then I kind of like assess how I interpret it, and then I'm just like a wealth of knowledge at the end because my memory's always been good. Yeah. As a kid, I was always appreciative of my memory. Mm-hmm. Whenever it came to those games or you flipped over a card and you tried to find the other one, I was always really good at that game. Yeah. Like really good at that one. As soon as I found it, I was like, oh. But anyways.
Well, you know what? We're gonna take a little break. We're going to let everyone know that we spun that wheel of 1,000 drinks.
Yeah, we did.
And today we got
OJ.
That's right.
Orange juice.
Orange juice. Now, I went to my barber.
Okay.
And I was letting him know, like, yeah, man, I got a podcast. He's like, dude, let me get you right. He did. And he's like, so what do you got? What's your next podcast? I'm like, orange juice. He's like, really? What brand? I was like, bro, this brand. Real OJ.
Real OJ.
We're gonna chop up some real orange juice.
I like that.
Make some real OJ. So
okay.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
All right. Cheers, bro. So we got the orange juice. Fun facts. I learned that I need to purchase a juicer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Blender and juicer have different functions.
100%, because this is more like
blended.
Yes.
Definitely blended.
Will it blend?
Yeah.
Yeah. But well, let's see how this whole thing tastes.
Let's do it.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely not pulpy, but riney. is the word?
It's like all rind.
It's the whole orange.
I'm gonna have to stop drinking this.
I'm sure this is good for you, but it is pretty sour. And I didn't know orange could be that sour.
You know what though? We got another set. We can retry those.
Do we have not a blender, but a juicer? Or maybe we just do the orange list. I saw it the first night I asked Pat. I was like, "Do you put the whole rind when you blend oranges?"
And I'm like, yeah. I saw the dude.
When you blend oranges, apparently not. You wanna peel those oranges.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, with the whole keeping the rind on, there was a demo for the Vitamix that we have down there, and the guy was literally chopping up all this fruit. And then he was like, "Yeah, just throw the rind in."
So you definitely watched the video.
No, it's a person. It
Oh.
was like in my face, like person doing a demo. He's like, "Yeah, just throw the rind in." Fun facts: it's just a couple. You know,
Yeah, he did every orange's rind.
I did every orange rind. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So
Yeah, maybe one. I would say one might have done the job.
yeah,
Wow, I'm so glad I didn't brush my teeth recently. That would have been savage. Imagine. This is this. Ooh.
should just crack one of these open and just upsetting. Yeah,
Yeah,
drink
that really makes me want to Orange Julius from the mall.
Orange Julius.
Yeah, the Dairy Queen. It's no longer Dairy Queen, actually. It's just Orange Julius. It's like a sweet orange. It tastes like orange candy when you get an Orange Julius smoothie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they've got to have some sort of pre-made Julius mix or something. Julius of the gods, because that is some nectar.
I've never had it.
We gotta go to the mall sometime. I hope that Orange Julius is still open. I'm super familiar with the mall because are you familiar with the Ninja Exchange?
I've been there once.
One time.
Yeah, one time.
It's interesting because if you go there one time, like once a year, you're gonna see that place is like drastically changing within. It's kind of like it's a living organism type of business because it's not just one person involved; it's 100 people involved. So the way I like to look at it, it's like Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. There's a guy who owns the building. His name is Josh, aka Willy Wonka, and then we're all the Oompa Loompas because we all run the business through all of. These are the never-ending gobstoppers. These are the golden gooses, ducks, and these are all the. So you have the Pokemon cards over here. You have the sports vendors over here. You have your comic vendors over here, and as Collectibles truly comes to its full form of people realize that everybody wants Pokemon cards these days, that place is the mecca of the mall. That is going to be, I would say that is like a blueprint of how malls should operate in terms of there are no Toys R Us's anymore. There is no KB Toys. GameStop
KB
is not really associated to games really these days. I mean, obviously they are, but now they have like PSA Pokemon cards. You can grade your cards there. You can. There's all kinds of stuff there. You could buy like, not. Anyways, that's a whole nother tangent. But yeah, the way that the Ninja Exchange is, it's super cool because I'm there all the time. Yeah.
I went there the one time I went. It just so happened that the Black Power Ranger was there.
Oh yeah.
Walter Jones.
Yep. Did you get to say what up? Did you?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
Yeah, because that cost $60 to say.
Oh,
what up.
really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Dude.
Those celebrities are wild because a photo could be like $80, a simple selfie could be $40, a signature could be $60, but
Really?
it's very interesting because that's the price of very prestige, like well-known, renowned comic book artists. So it's like, it's very interesting. We had a dynamic one time at Ninja Exchange. We had a comic book artist, a really well-known comic book artist, and then anime voice actors, and they were both charging the same price. And I was like, it seems really odd. Like if you had two collectibles in your hand, and I was like, okay, you have Stanley on the left, and then you have the voice actor of, I wouldn't say Mario, but like Mr. Fantastic or something from the Fantastic Four, like something subpar. It's like, but they cost the same cost. It's like, wouldn't you want? but it was really interesting. So, but yeah, they both made similar amounts of money. So they both were cool.
Yeah, Ninja Exchange, bro. It was interesting when I first saw that they were converting that Sears to Ninja Exchange. But every time I kept going, it was like during the week. I was like, when's this thing gonna ever open? It was only the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make. I think the allure is that it's just the weekends because kids would probably make parents broke if it was opened every day during the week. They can keep it till like a, because the majority of the weekends is adults with money and then their children.
Right, 100%. Because all the children are at school.
Yeah, and on the weekends they're running around at Ninja Exchange sometimes. See, all these things would be far and out of mind when I was a kid, because we had comics and stuff. Or I forget if it was actually comics and stuff. But funny story, in that mall, this exact Charizard right there that you see right there, that is the exact Charizard that my dad bought for me. I think I have the original receipt too from the mall for like $52.
He specifically bought the Charizard?
That is the Charizard that my dad bought me when I was a kid. It was in the case when we were at the mall. So I specifically kept that Charizard because that's the one my dad got me.
Dude, I used to collect a whole bunch of Pokemon cards back in the day. I had all 149 really.
Yeah.
I just never had a Charizard. Never. Ever. I've had everything else but a Charizard. Bro, I was so pissed. And you know what's funny? When I was in the 4th grade, there was this kid that had a Charizard. And, you know, we'd be sharing, like, the little Pokemon book or whatever. And
the little binder, the 3-ring binder.
Yeah. And he was like, I forgot what it was. It was so long ago, but he was like, "You want this Charizard?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." I don't know if we were trading for anything, like some bullshit. And then his mom was like, "No, you're not selling that Charizard. You're not giving him the Charizard." And I was like, "It's his decision." You know what? My brain.
You were like, the come of the century. This is a real homie.
Yeah.
And the mom just said, "No."
Dude, it was crazy. It was holographic, all that stuff. Like,
oh, it was like the OG.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the
OG.
It was so crazy that I've never seen a Charizard up close. That I think this is the second one I've ever seen up close.
Yeah, it's a mythical feeling.
That's so crazy, dude.
It's crazy. It has inspired a whole generation of people and countless immense wealth.
You know what sucks though is I had all those Pokemon cards, a whole bunch of graphics, holographics, and now I don't have them.
As in, you don't have them, or they're lost, or they're gone.
Bro, either one.
Yeah, because if you can still find them, if your parents still own them, it's just like I said about wine.
Yeah.
It's like literal treasure. It is the human equivalent to pirate's treasure.
Yeah.
Because as kids, we didn't know what we had. We didn't know what we were doing with them. And I kid you not, you go into like some random desk at your parents' house in some random plastic bag or some binder that just looks unassuming.
Yeah.
Those are your Pokemon cards.
You know what I hate the most? Being stupid when I was younger.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because Yu-Gi-Oh was out and I was collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right? Somehow I got a Dark Magician. You know how the Dark Magician goes like this or whatever it was?
I
like
still
this?
have all these cards, yes.
Yeah, so I had one. The Dark Magician was standing straight.
Yes.
And I didn't know that was rare.
Oh.
So I went to this. I kept getting my Yu-Gi-Oh cards from this paintball spot, and these guys were like super cool. They had like the whole Exodia.
Oh yeah, the left arm, right arm, head.
Yep.
Both legs.
They had that, and
look cool in a binder because on the pages you put the head at the top.
Yeah.
Because the way they're spread out,
Yeah. So I went into. I got the Dark Magician, and they're like, "Yo, trying to sell that?" And I was like, "For more? For more cards? How
much would you give it to me?"
And they gave me like 2 packs, and I was like, "Bro,
ooh.
Yeah." Like I said, dumb.
You got swindled.
I know.
Like stealing candy from a baby.
And it's facts, dude.
That's the worst feeling because you never forget that. I had a similar. Every child has the experience where you sold one of your cool cards because the appeal of more things because you have something. I had a similar thing where like I sold like the Gate Guardian. If you remember from the anime, it was the 2 twins. I don't know. Did you watch Yu-Gi-Oh?
I did, but like.
So in the anime, there's the 2 twins and they control the labyrinth, and they are stopping Yugi and Joey from traversing and getting to their friends. And the way that they stop them is they have this labyrinth. In Yu-Gi-Oh, the defense points was like 3,000. So it's like, okay, But everything in Yu-Gi-Oh! So my favorite part, absolute favorite part about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is everything in the anime. Nothing actually happens in the game that actually like happens in the anime. So it's like, all right, I put the labyrinth down, and then the maze pops up, and they're like, your guys can't get through the maze, therefore you're stuck there. It's like that's not how this game works.
Right.
And then there's a part where like this chandelier comes down. It's like, okay, the swords of revealing light fade, and your chandelier comes down and kills all. If that actually happened in the game, that's some fairyland. That's some child rules. Anyways, we all know Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yugi made those rules. But anyways, long story short, at the end there's a gate guardian, and the two twins they merge it kind of like Power Rangers, and they have this guy called the Gate Guardian. I had the card where they're all combined, literally called the Gate Guardian, like the boss monster of that episode. And I did a similar thing where I traded that into a card shop that straight swindled me for, I want to say, like 10 packs or something like that.
Dang.
Yeah. But everyone has that similar experience where they sold their Charizard, they traded their favorite Pikachu or their Jinzo or whatever.
Yeah.
It happens, but you never forget. You go with like this like chip on your shoulder. It's like, I'm never trading again.
Yeah. It's
Unless
rough,
the odds are in my favor, like that kid who almost gave you his Charizard.
Yeah, 100%.
You wouldn't have felt bad about that if you had got that Charizard.
No, I wouldn't have.
But then you would have given him something, or at least, like, homie, what do I got? Yeah.
I know. It was such a weird transaction in that way.
Good mom, though.
Great mom. Great mom.
W mom.
Bro. Fucking time traveler mom.
Yeah, go back. Gives you the Charizard. And then your whole life changed. Because your whole life you went through walking, you had the Charizard, you knew you had him. Yeah. It's a different feeling. That's what I learned about collectibles. It's not so much owning the collectible, it's the feeling you have of owning it. It's because in a way, collectibles, everything is a little bit egotistical because that Charizard's nothing unless you could show it off. That cool designer bag is as cool as someone says that's a cool bag. Because really, it's like everything its value is associated to how much something is willing to pay or how much they appreciate that it's cool. Because there's some people who don't give a damn about your Charizard. There's some people who don't give a damn about your comic book. But hey, I'm still a nice guy.
Hey, fun facts about Charizard. I don't know if you've ever seen the episode of Pawn Stars. The dude came in with like 100 Charizard.
Yeah, of course.
I've never seen that.
I have his signature. His name is from that episode. Anyway, I have a Charizard Funko Pop signed by him because at Dallas Fan Expo 2 years ago, me and my dad went, and funny you mentioned Pawn Stars. We met Chumley, and we met that guy who has, I want to say he has 21 now first edition Shadowless Charizards in PSA 10. He's notorious because Pawn Stars turned down the deal.
Yeah.
But he also sold one of those Charizards for like $150,000.
Yeah.
Logan Paul, which is
to Logan Paul, you said.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's like a whole episode that Logan Paul did, and his name is, I want to say it's Gary, because I literally have the Funko Pop over there. I got it signed by
Gary.
Yeah, his name's Charizard Gary or something like that.
Wow.
But yeah, he is the king of Charizards. It's
Spooky.
crazy. Pawn Stars, all their notoriety because they turned down that deal.
That's so.
But it was like that's the deal of the century because they didn't understand. Chumley knew. Mm-hmm. He understood because all those cards they could go up. So at the time they were worth this. Now they're worth that.
That's so interesting.
It's like stocks.
My mind is literally blown on how things are like worth the way that they are worth. You know, like collectibles. I wouldn't have thought about.
Time is fleeting, and as we get older, some people associate good feelings with their childhood.
With nostalgia?
With nostalgia. And especially as adults, we are craving things that remind us of our past, especially with how diluted we are with social media and how short our attention spans are with media and how instant gratifications on your likes and your Instagrams and your follows and all that. We forget and we cherish the old times of going outside and sharing a Pokemon binder with your friends and then putting it away and then going on your bike and then going to the park.
Yeah. And then pulling out the Game Boy.
Yes.
And then connecting with the cord.
I think our generation will always... So we have the generations of like the most brave, the World War II generation. That is the current generation we're losing of probably the last generation of like real strong-minded, real doers of humanity, because they answered the call that is the last World War II, which we're approaching. I don't know the way, no politics, but anyways, shouts out to that. The old ways of appreciating what we have in the present. Because damn, social media. If only there were some studies that could be giving us results now of like our generation compared to our current generation, and how much we. It's funny because we're seeing it in financial with Pokemon cards with our adolescents. We're chasing that hit. We're chasing that high of holy crap, because they're associated to memories. And whether it's sports cards, Pokemon, they're all memories. And our memories are now the children of today. Your memories are all saved on a hard drive, streaming on the cloud, and they're all public domains, and they're all associated to like the internet. But no one really. Some of my favorite memories are actually, ironically, like I was blessed with growing up, and I had a bunch of kids in this neighborhood, and we were all similar age. So we would go up to the park, and back in the day when our garbage bins were actually bins and not flippable, kind of like Jack in the Boxes, they actually had bins. We actually took the bins of those trash bins, and we took them as sleds, and we went down this hill when it was all dirt, and we just slid down, and we hurt ourselves. But those are the memories that I remember as a kid, and I want to say most kids nowadays are all like Roblox on their iPads. They're like, oh, when are we playing? I don't know, Minecraft or Fortnite or whatever. Which is cool, because I also stream Twitch, and I get it. I understand. But what trumps all of that, no pun intended, is the memories of a kid.
Yeah. So with comic books and the future, do you foresee that we'll be moving away from comic books, or will they always be like present and prevalent?
It's hard to say, because if you look, it's like we have deep dove into comic books because we've spent trillions and trillions of dollars on media associated to. If you look behind you, there's Marvel characters from all of those have IPs related to them. Daredevil's currently has a new show going out. Yep. Black Panther has always been high on the love factor with T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P.
Yeah.
We talk about the future, like there's no really. It's interesting because that comic books, in a way, it's like those are characters, but in a way, our current people. So our current generation, the way that they handle it, they lost what those characters really like are about sometimes. Captain America's very patriotic, and it's about America. You know, he's a very you do it for your country kind of character, and in our today's examples, there aren't a lot of examples for do it for America, do it for your country type of vibes. So I don't know, interesting, but. I don't think we're going away from comic book characters at all. Especially what we're doing is we oversaturated the superhero genre. So now our current media is going to take other routes. Like, I don't know if you heard, they greenlit a rated R Turtles movie. I don't know if you heard of it, but there's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles also have a subplot called The Last Ronin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they got greenlit for a rated R movie where they will explain the Last Ronin movie. And I think that'll rekindle, like, we don't need to have, not say a PG rated, but we are okay with having R rated, gritty, dark superheroes, because superheroes, at the end of the day, they beat each other up. Batman might be the only one that doesn't actually kill them, but Storm fries people. She electrifies people. Spider-Man, he ties them up, suffocates people. Like Daredevil straight clobbers people. Blade kills vampires for a living. Like, you look at all this board, and violence is a part of their nature. But we are okay because, ode to media, we're desensitized to it. But every superhero has really emotional moments and beats like that not every film hits, especially the most recent ones. They all miss on what makes Madam Web special. They all miss what Craven his obsession. Like, it's not explained well either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's handled well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see more of them. But when it's handled poorly, yeah, everyone's almost just like. Have you seen Madam Web?
No.
Yeah.
No,
like
I've
real
actually.
bad.
So ever since they
It's like, how did they greenlight this movie?
well, ever since they brought on all the little side movies, side shows like Scarlet Witch,
Yeah.
and
WandaVision.
WandaVision, yeah, and then Loki and all this stuff. I think I stopped watching Marvel.
Yeah,
But
there's
here's
so much.
here's the shitty part too is like when I watched Deadpool and Wolverine, he had to like key in episode 5 of Loki at this time point, and I'm like, shit, bro, like, fuck, I have to watch all this shit now.
Yeah.
And I this one of the most things that I think I hate the most is like I liked watching movies and getting the references from the other movies. I didn't want to go through the shows. I used to say I'm a huge Marvel fan. Now I'm just a Marvel fan because I didn't watch the fucking TV shows, bro. So
I'm right there with you. I would say I'm a poser too because I'm so behind.
I think going back to like Marvel is I think what the biggest downfall was is back in the day, villains were villains, right? Now you get their side of the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but they could be good people. You
Right.
know what I mean?
You're right. Where's the villain arc begin? Yeah. Yeah. They can't just be a bad guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, who's your favorite villain of all time? Think about it.
Oh man.
And what makes them your favorite?
I don't know, bro.
I think the one that comes to mind, I don't want to say it, but I have to say Darth Vader. Because you have his whole arc. You have a whole story from literally as a youngling and into his madness, into his rage. And that's the best villains. They're well explained because the villains aren't villains from like children are a good example because children aren't inherently evil. So to have a villain you just immediately think like, oh yeah, they were bad from the start. There's no way. Because there is a moment where everyone turns, and Anakin's turn is, his love for Padme, and so he takes the route of Chancellor Palpatine and given false promises that he could save her, and then when he's betrayed, and he goes down this path of obeying evil in an effort to save his loved ones. It's a good villain arc because it's almost like if you were in the same shoes, like let's say, your loved ones were dying and you could save them all if you just go and fight for this guy for a little bit, you would do it. But it's a lot deeper than that because you also get not only the Clone Wars in the animated series, you get his life as Vader, and more than just the movies, him as Darth Vader is so badass because outside of the films when he's actually like he goes and does Vader things like in the video games. He's so cool. Like he it's so rad. Like he just it's all to a whole new level. Like Darth Vader is super cool. But yeah, super well explained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. So I've never seen Star Wars.
Ever?
I mean, I have, but I don't remember it. It's
Yeah.
like so long ago.
Yeah. But yeah, have you seen Harry Potter?
Oh yeah, 100%.
They say that Voldemort.
They
do
say that
you think Thou shall not be named as a good villain?
they say that Harry Potter is like the Star Wars of the Wizarding world.
Essentially, yeah. Same story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're like
Very similar.
J.K. Rowling plagiarized Star Wars.
In a way. Yeah. But
That's
now
so funny.
isn't she supposed to write like a new book or something? Isn't she like working on new content?
I have no idea. I remember. So I was on Pottermore one time to check out my my house. What house I should be in. And then I found that they had another series of like Hogwarts, but in
Fantastic Beasts?
no.
Oh, even separate than that.
Yeah, it's like a Hogwarts, but in the United States.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. I haven't seen or been on Pottermore or been on like anything.
What is that?
Pottermore?
Yeah.
It's a website.
For like Harry Potter fans?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can go to.
I've never heard of this. That's why I was
Really?
like, Pottermore.
Okay, interesting.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm just gonna take your word for it.
Damn. Yeah, Pottermore is a website that you can go and you can like answer some questions and you'll get selected a house. You can also answer some questions. You get a
Wow.
wand or whatever, and then yeah, stuff like that. It's like
That's cool.
it's so 2014.
They actually have like a Harry Potter video game that's actually pretty cool too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
like the
didn't
Sorting
even-
Hat and everything. Yeah.
Interesting.
Everything's related to video games in my life. So
Yeah.
it's like if there's any, oh yeah, they made a video game of that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So to reel everything back in, like how do you balance playing video games, doing whatnot, and you know being a collector of all things and trying to like figure out what's the next buy and like find all the new like up and coming things.
Yeah. Back in the day, it was easier because it was just do everything. Be at this, be at that, do this, do that. Now it's a little bit more selective. When you get in this business, you become an adult really quick because finances and your taxes are a big deal. It's a big part of this business. Everything's a write-off. You have to have everything saved. You need to figure out your expenses, figuring out your costs for things. Those are the more important details. So a lot of people have asked me this in the past, but you have to be your own boss even more to like, because you can make risks, and one big flop and I'm like super down. So there are times when I feel like super up and I'm like, oh cool, I made all this money, I feel great. And there are times when like I just did my taxes and I'm like, I haven't been to a convention in a long time, I've been streaming much, oh shoot, I feel really bad. So it's really dependent on you and your ability to be strict on yourself, because I found if I'm not streaming, I'm not making my livelihood. So I had a time during the holidays when I didn't have all my family here because they were in Indonesia. I didn't stream for like the whole month of November and December. And if I'm not streaming, like by January, I was like, whoa, all the money that I saved, I pretty much just used up because I just wasn't streaming. So I have to be diligent. Otherwise, like I literally have to work a part-time job. Otherwise, you know, I have all these other bills I have to pay. I have to pay rent on stuff. I have to pay bills. I have to buy a new product. And the way this business works is your revenue is based on how much you can sell. So in this business, to make money, you got to spend money. So on average, I would say I was buying maybe $10,000, $20,000 worth of comic books every month, but I would flip them and make $75,000 off of those per month. But my cost was, half of the revenue. So you have to factor that in. Also, the time and the cost for the hotels, the food, the travel costs, getting one of my homies to dog sit or whatever. All those things come into it at the end of the day. And then you have all these other things you have to pay for, your expenses and stuff like that. So really, you have to balance it. Because I would say I'm in the, in the realm of I'm doing okay. But I'm in a place where a lot of people wish they could be, which I never forget. I'm very humble about that because, like I said earlier, there's not a lot of people on eBay Live, and there's a lot of people who wish they could be. And there's a lot of people who very well should be compared to what I have. So there's people with full-on stores. There's people with millions of dollars of the product that should be selling, but I credit to I was just nice to everybody. I communicated. I just went for something that I was after, and I got to a place where I wanted to be. So it paid off in the long run. But the moment I stop streaming, the moment I take a break, or I literally stop, the momentum stops. So you kind of have to keep chugging forward. And I even give credit to dude, some of my best days I've ever done financially for a stream were the days when I did not want to do that stream. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't feel good. I don't feel like talking on the phone. I don't feel social. I don't feel like doing this. And then I'm like, let me give it 10 minutes. And I turned on the phone. I started talking. And then some people were like, can I see all those graded comic books you have? And how much for all of them? And I'm like, oh, crap. It's going to be those kind of days. Because you never know. With this business and our live streaming platforms, you never know who's going to pop into your live stream. And all you have to associate them by is a username. So you never know when someone pops in and be like, hey, Johnny Boy 64, how's it going? How are you? What are you looking for? They're like, oh, I'm looking for graded comic books. All right, cool. I have this box. Let me show you what I have. If there's anything that you like, let me know. And he's like, how much for all of them? And I'm like, okay, I did not have that number in mind. I could do all of them for like 9,000, and they're like 8,500, and then
That's it.
and you're like, oh, okay, I gotta run that.
Wow.
And it happens, and there are those days, and then there's those days where you're like pulling your hair out to get $5 out of a comic book.
Wow.
So it's very lucrative, and if you have what's the word? What's the phrase? Not thick, thin skin. This business isn't for you because it's mixed with social media and it's mixed with the pressures of doing good in business, and it's also you have to follow a strict schedule, otherwise, like we were talking about earlier with short-term gratification. There are people who tune into your Thursday show, and if you miss out on your Thursday 2 weeks in a row, they'll find somewhere else to go on Thursdays. So it's that consistency that you might think doesn't matter. It really does, because with habits, I don't know if this really falls true because I'm not really bad at myself, but you can build a habit, I think what they say, in 27 days of consistency. If you do something like 27 days in a row, you can build a habit. So if you can get yourself in the gym 27 days in a row for an hour, you can get yourself to 29 days. You can get yourself to 60 days. You can get yourself to 3 years.
Yeah.
It just takes 27 days of due diligence.
Yep.
So for streaming, that was easy. I freaking had like 2 years under my belt. I had 13-hour streams. I had 18-hour streams. I was like a seasoned veteran. So when it came to eBay and they were like, okay, like why are you trying to be on here? It's like, I might not have the product. I might not be able to sell $1 million in a week, but I kid you not, I'm pretty good at selling like just me as a person. So owed to my current standing, like I had like 100% feedback on both platforms.
Nice.
Like both platforms, like super great feedback, all good reviews. So I was just like, okay, cool. Like I'm doing something right. And then lo and behold, like I got part of like these whatnot meetings. I got part of these like eBay meetings, and they were like, oh, Sean, your name came up in the meeting. Like we were just highlighting you for just like great user feedback. Like those small shout outs gave me enough motivation to keep doing it. So it was like these small interactions, like whatnot invited me out to their base, and they wanted me to host their whatnot convention, the kickoff. So I interviewed the voice of Goku and the voice of Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, and I interviewed them for whatnot, and we did a stream, and then they gave me a bunch of product, they gave me a bunch of signatures from the author, and it all worked out great. And then for eBay, they give me a platform at New York Comic Con. They invite us to the booth and give us time. They give us some product to sell. So it's a give and take. Like they have our backs, we have theirs.
Yeah.
So it just motivates us to keep doing it. So the moment I stop is when it stops being like feasible, because yeah, you have to keep going.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, like, when would you say is the end game, or what's the end result?
I've thought about that. I've thought about like if opening a store, or I've thought about that. Truly, like the way that my mind works is like I don't know what I want to do in 5 years. I don't know, because like with whatnot, like with all this stuff, it came within like a 2-year thing, and now it's like consumed my life. So I don't know where things will take me or where I will go, but I'm just like ready for it. So I told myself, I'm like, all right, I want to save as much money as I can. I want to do as much as I can with this, and then to the point where I don't want to do it anymore, that's the day. But for right now, I'm like, dude, I'm like full send. I'm like, as soon as I like don't have anything else to sell with comic books or Pokemon, the first thing I want to do is take a break and play video games. And then it's like I turn off one stream, I turn on another one. So it's like there was like I want to say it was like a movie or like a television show on MTV back in the day where this guy 100% live streamed his whole life and he went crazy or something like that. But I would not do that to that point. I would just want to do it when I want to. And I think that's the most important detail, because some people will overdo it, but I just do it when I want to do it.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, like when I really don't want to do it are sometimes when I do the best. So it's like there's really like no like Bible or dictionary to go by of when do I start doing this, or when's the best time to pop on. I'm like right now, like now. Who's on right now? Not you. So I want to just go live. Like, so with this industry, it's like when's the best time to start? It's like you're like 10 minutes ago.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, because there's no one that's going to do this for you. There's no one like you. you probably know with editing, there's no one who's gonna like all this too. Is all a one-man army team. There's a lot of more successful people that have people who stream for them. There's people who pack the comic books for them. There's people who source the comic books for them. Mm-hmm. I'm just like the one-man team. So in a way, it works better for me because I don't have to rely on anybody.
Right.
But then in a reverse, you have no one to rely on.
100%.
So that part is you have to be okay with that. But yeah, just kind of doing it.
For sure.
Winging it.
Yeah.
'Cause that's all I did. And then now I'm in a position where I can go on a very recognized app and make life-changing money sometimes.
For sure. So what would you say if someone wanted to do what you do? Like, what would you say is like the blueprint? What should they start first to?
I would first tell them they need to have like a lot of like self-reflection of like why they want to do this and why this route would be better than going other routes. Because the reason why I also did this because I went to Cal State San Marcos. I have a degree in communications. My original degree that I was pursuing was computer science, which in today's world would get you a job in itself. Like if you had a bachelor's degree in computer science, cool. You could make software. Cool. Let's give you $200,000 a year and put you in Silicon Valley, whatever.
Yeah.
But that job security, I was like, all right, I hate this job because one example that I look back is when this was actually at Miracosta, actually, ironically. I was in, I think it was C something, C++. And I was in a course and my classmates, I noticed during class when they were done that they would help me finish my assignment. And I noticed outside of class when we were like hanging out in the cafeteria, they would immediately go start working on their own video games or their own code or their own thing. And I immediately, that moment I recognized, I was like, this isn't for me. Because they have a true passion because even when they're not told or forced to do it, they want to do it.
Yeah.
So I immediately was like, okay, the last thing I want to do when I don't have to do this is do it. So get me away from this code. As soon as they told me like, all right, class is over, the last thing I wanted to talk about was code. So I immediately ran away from it. So that was the moment I was like, all right, cool. Let me use communication because at the time it was generic, but that's what I was good at. I was like communicating, understanding people, getting a point across, and it might sound mundane, it might sound stupid, but I got really good at it to the point where like, okay, if my degree is communication, all I do is communicate with people. Hey, buy this. Hey, the reason to buy this is what it is. This is the level of rarity. This is why you want this or whatever. I almost became a glorified auctioneer, but I got better at explaining like stories and like connecting experience to moments and all this stuff. So I took that degree and then fast forward to that thing we were talking about at San Diego. I told my friend, and I was like, I have a degree in communication. Does that help? He's like, that's cool, but like, are you okay with talking to a phone for like 8 hours? I was like, why did I get this degree in the first place? I was like, anybody could do this. But I guess college is definitely better suited for people who need it and need a degree to prove to someone in a higher position that you're good at computer science or whatever degree. But I think in today's world, man, if you just have the work experience, it trumps over what someone says on a piece of paper sometimes. Because work experience is so much more valuable than people saying they can do it and then they just buckle under pressure.
Right.
Because when it came to those group projects and then it was expected of me to perform, I definitely flunked those computer science courses because I was piggybacking off of my classmates who were like, who could do all the work for me with their hands or their eyes closed. And I was struggling just to get like, level 2A and they were on like level 20. So I was like, I'm in the wrong course.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to recognize things at an early stage if things are going to work out for you. So back to your question of if someone wanted to get in this business, it's like, why? Do you have a crazy collection that you need to disperse along to the rest of humanity? Do you want to connect other collectors to you to get them other cool stuff? Like, why do you even want to do this? Because for me, it was like everything just happened in like COVID. COVID was like the birth of all this. Because I was confined to be home. I already had all the cool stuff. I was already like infatuated with games and collectibles and stuff like that. So like I was trained for that.
Got it.
So when Whatnot came around, I was like the top candidate because I was like, dude, I breathe this. So I can't. I was like the coin flipped from like when I felt like I was in the classroom of people who were like, I was like, dude, what am I doing here?
Right.
The role flipped and I was like, holy crap, I had I know too much of what's going on. Like, you're all, does anybody know about Pokemon cards? I was like, I could do the Pokemon rap if you want me to. Like, so, yeah, when the spotlight was on, I freaking was ready. So yeah, so now I'm just the next. Now you said earlier you asked like what's like in 5 years, like that's where I'm at now. It's like, what is the next step of this? It's like, do I expand? Do I keep doing what I'm doing? Do I focus on Twitch? Do I focus on eBay? And I would tell myself now, I'm like, right now I'm trying to focus on Pokemon because Pokemon's so much easier to sell than comic books.
Yeah.
Comic books, I found you're selling to like your friend's dad almost. It sounds weird, but like comic books, rarely do you find younger people associated with comic books. It's usually older people our age in our 30s or much older people. The people that I don't say shilled out, but the people who wanted really high-end comic books were like surgeons and doctors and people that are in very well-respected fields who were chasing that nostalgia like we were talking about from their childhood. So like, oh, my dad owned this when I was a kid. I remember reading it and I remember flipping through it, and now I'm like, I kick myself because I was like, dang, I probably ruined his like $40,000 comic. And it's like, oh, yeah, but you'll never have that memory lost of like that was just a comic book to you back in the day. So cherish your memories like how it is now. It's like cool. But yeah, Pokemon cards. Everyone collects Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
There's people at my local Albertsons waiting at these kiosks for them to restock these like automated Pokemon vending machines, and I'm like, gosh, Pokemon's crazy. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a trip, dude. So real quick before we close out, if someone wanted to check your live stream and see what days that you're on or whatever, and see what you got, like how can someone find you?
Probably easiest would connect with me on my Instagram, which is Genghis Shawn, one word, 2 S's. SHAWN, not SHAUN, SEAN, or any other one, just SHAWN. The way it's meant to be spelled. I'm just kidding. Or my eBay page, which is Genghis Shawn Collectibles.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm super easy to connect with. I think I'm on Google now. If you Google my name, either my Whatnot or my eBay pops up. But yeah, slowly chugging along, trying to get some more fans out there, trying to connect with more people. And if you ever are at a comic book convention or any convention related, I probably am there. So yeah, come say what up. If you look at my Instagram, they're all selfies of me just going like this. I like, what up? Because I'm just having a good time. So that's like me and my like pinnacle moment. So it's like, oh, catch me at my peak. It's at the convention, having a good time.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, man, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure coming to your humble abode.
Castle Genghis. Yes, with our orange smoothies.
The orange rind smoothies.
It got chunkier. It seems like.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to take
almost.
another sip.
It almost didn't look like it was gonna flow out.
It almost looks like you could bake this, turn into it like a bread.
You know what? That probably could be a thing.
Yeah,
honestly.
Some orange blossom bread.
All right, man. Well, thank you for joining the Beverage Club podcast. Remember, every day we drink something.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See ya.
I'm gonna down this whole thing. Fuck it.
Oh, do it.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
something. Cheers.
Cheers.
See ya.
I'm gonna down this whole thing. Fuck it.
Oh, do it.
I can't.
Yeah.